Hi there. Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Legal Clinic's guide to raising capital for your business. Today, we're focusing on two popular ways early-stage startups raise money: convertible notes and safes. This is part of our capital raising video series. If you haven't already, make sure to check out our previous videos, overview on raising capital for your business and equity and debt. Raising capital is a critical milestone for any startup founder, but the process of choosing the right way to raise funds can be overwhelming, especially when it comes to deciding whether to go with traditional equity, loans, crowdfunding, or alternative financing methods. What are convertible notes and safes? Convertible notes and safes are hybrid instruments used to raise capital. They allow startups to raise funds quickly and flexibly. They help avoid the complexity of setting a valuation early on. Understanding how they work and how they differ is key for efficient fundraising. When you're just starting out, it's hard to raise money by selling shares. Why? Because it's tough to say what your company is worth so early. That's where convertible notes and safes come in. They let you raise money now and figure out valuation later, usually at your next funding round. What are convertible notes? Let's start with convertible notes. A convertible note is a type of loan that investors give to a startup with the expectation that the loan will convert into equity at a later time, usually upon some type of financing event like a new round of investment. Now, how does it work? Let's break it down step by step. The investor gives the startup a loan. Like a traditional loan, it has a principal amount, a maturity date, and usually an interest rate. But unlike a traditional loan, payment isn't expected on a fixed schedule. Instead, it's deferred until something happens in the future, typically when your company raises more funding from new investors. When that round happens, the loan converts into equity, meaning the investor receives shares in your company instead of getting their money back. This conversion typically happens on favorable terms, like a discount or valuation cap, to reward early investors. There are a few common features you'll see in convertible notes. First is the valuation cap. First, it's important to understand what a valuation is. A valuation is the estimated worth of your company. It's how much the business is believed to be worth based on its progress, potential, and traction. When your company is just getting started, that number is usually low. But as you grow, it increases. To better explain this, imagine your company as a pizza. New investors are paying $10 per slice. But the early investor who took a risk when things were uncertain gets to buy slices at $5 each because the terms included a valuation cap, which allows them to purchase at the lower price. That's what a valuation cap does. It gives early investors more for their money if your company ends up being worth more later. Second is the discount. Another common approach is the discount. Instead of locking in a lower valuation, the investor simply gets a lower price compared to future investors. Using the same pizza example, let's say new investors are paying $1 per slice. The early investor, thanks to a 20% discount, pays only 80 cents. That means they get more slices for their money. Third is the interest rate. Since it's a loan, convertible notes usually earn interest, for example 5% a year. But instead of paying that interest in cash, the interest turns into extra shares when the note converts. Last is the maturity date. That's the deadline for the note to either convert into shares or be paid back. If you don't raise another round before the deadline, technically, you have to repay the money, unless you agree to extend it. Startups usually use convertible notes early on, when they're growing but not ready to set a company valuation yet. It's a fast, flexible way to bring in investors without doing a full equity round. But keep in mind, convertible notes show up as debt on your balance sheet and cap table. That's a red flag for some future investors or acquirers because it looks like you owe money. It can affect how others view your financial health and can complicate follow-on investing rounds. What are safes? Next up are safes, which stands for Simple Agreements for Future Equity. Safes were created by Y Combinator, a top startup accelerator in Silicon Valley, to be a simpler and more founder-friendly alternative to convertible notes. Just like convertible notes, safes let investors give you money now, and in return, they'll get shares later, usually when you raise your next round of investment. But there's one big difference. Safes are not loans. There's no interest and no maturity date. That means you don't have to worry about paying the money back or dealing with deadlines. Even though safes are simpler, they still include a few key terms, some of which look familiar. Safes like convertible notes often include a valuation cap or a discount. These terms ensure that early investors receive more favorable pricing than those who invest later. Each option rewards early investors differently. A cap sets the maximum price at which their money converts, while a discount gives them a better price than others in the next round. Then there is the MFN clause, which stands for Most Favored Nation. This one is different. It says, if you later give better terms to a new safe investor, for example, a lower valuation cap, then your original investor can choose those same better terms. It's a way to keep things fair for early investors. These three terms, valuation cap, discount, and MFN, are really the core of how a safe works. And the best part? Y Combinator shares their safe templates online for free so you can read and use the same documents startups across the world are using. We've included the link in the description below. Now, let's compare convertible notes and safes side by side. Both are tools to raise funds, but they have key differences. Convertible notes are debt instruments, meaning they can accrue interest and have a maturity date. If the startup doesn't raise more funds by the maturity date, they may have to repay the loan. And again, they show up as debt on the balance sheet, which some future investors may view less favorably. Safes, on the other hand, are not debt. They don't have an interest rate, maturity date, and they don't show as debt on the balance sheet, making them simpler and faster to negotiate. So while convertible notes carry more risk for the startup, safes are more flexible and straightforward. You might be wondering, why should startups use convertible notes or safes instead of traditional debt or equity? The simple answer is that convertible notes and safes help delay the complex process of valuation. But the important question is, why is setting a valuation is difficult early on? When your business is just starting, you may not have revenue, users, or even a fully developed product. It's difficult to estimate your true value because there's not enough data. Valuation at that stage is often speculative and can lead to either giving away too much ownership or scaring off investors. Convertible notes and safes allow you to raise funds now and postpone that valuation discussion until your company is further along and easier to evaluate. Additionally, these tools are faster and less expensive to set up than traditional equity financing or debt agreements. Let's now look at the pros and cons of convertible notes and safes for startups. Pros: fast and simple, both tools are quicker to execute than traditional equity financing. Delay valuation: startups don't have to set a valuation immediately. Attract investors: they can appeal to investors looking for simpler terms. Cons: debt risk. This applies to convertible notes only. If the company doesn't reach the next funding round, they may face repayment obligations. Balance sheet impact. This also applies to convertible notes only. Convertible notes show up as debt on the balance sheet, which can deter some investors. Equity dilution. Both convertible notes and safes result in equity dilution, meaning founders give up a portion of ownership in the company. To summarize, both convertible notes and safes are useful tools for raising capital quickly and efficiently, without the immediate pressure of valuation. However, they each come with unique terms and considerations. It's important for entrepreneurs to understand how they work before deciding which one is best for their startup. Thank you for watching. We hope this guide helps you understand how to use these tools in your fundraising journey. And if you found this helpful, make sure to check out our other videos in the series for more tips on raising capital and growing your business. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll dive into the how-tos and risks of raising capital for your business. Good luck on your startup journey.